This is the Apparelist podcast, designed to bring you real-life conversation about high-level topics relevant to the decorated apparel community.
Hey everybody, welcome to yet another amazing episode of the Apparelist podcast. We are just a few episodes in, but we are off and running. So far, the conversation has been amazing. We've had some really great conversations with a lot of different guests. Today, we are talking about technology. Technology can be such a broadly defined term in the apparel industry. So we called in a couple experts to help shed light on what that could mean, from everything from, we're talking equipment, to even as far as like AI and the metaverse. It all applies to the decorated apparel community. So joining me today are Jenna Sackett from Stalls and David Clifton from Alpha Broder. Guys, welcome. Thank you so much for jumping on today.
Thank you so much for having us. We're excited to be here.
Happy to be here. Excited to be here.
Yeah, and you're two faces in the industry that I think people are getting to know really well. You guys have a lot of insight to offer on just all things apparel, but today, talking about technology. So as I kind of mentioned, this can be really broadly defined. I guess when I initially think of the word technology, especially in the decorated apparel market, I think equipment, right? Like there's lots of new things always coming out as far as in terms of tools and things like that. But I heard something recently from somebody not in the decorated apparel community. So obviously, you know, they weren't in it like we are. Someone said, doesn't that seem kind of stale? Haven't you all been doing the same thing for years and years? And I completely disagree with that. So let's break that down. Let's start with you, Jenna. I mean, why is that quite simply not true?
Yeah, and you hit it pretty much on the head whenever you said it was someone outside of the apparel decoration, right? Because they really don't realize how far along we've come. And when you're on the outside looking in, I can totally understand why some may view it that way. If you're comparing our industry to others in the tech world, where things are rapidly advancing, then yeah, it might seem a little stale over here. But if you are in the nitty-gritty of the industry, there are a lot of things to be amazed by: new print technologies, new equipment innovations that have truly taken this industry and propelled us forward. And it's funny you ask this, actually, because I was in a conversation recently with a few colleagues at Stalls, and we were talking about heat press technology specifically, because that has been an extremely big innovation in our industry. And that's just one, right? That's just one piece of equipment that has allowed people to enter into the industry and be able to screen print, be able to offer embroidered finishes and special effect finishes and dimensional emblems, and all with just a heat press, right? So, and that's just the heat press side of things. There's a lot of innovation for being more efficient with screen printing and direct to garment. We continuously see these things advance. And, you know, when you're in it, you see how quickly and effectively it is helping our customers.
David, any thoughts you want to add to that? I mean, I know you are more on the fabric side, but still, you guys see a lot of innovation on a regular basis.
Yes, I would agree. I mean, I think Jenna's right. I mean, I think, you know, you're not from the industry. You certainly get and think, oh my gosh. I mean, compared to like, you know, I guess like, you know, microchip technology and the advances there, we are probably a little bit behind the curve if you think about that. But within decoration, we've seen a lot of advance, you know, particularly around direct to garment, direct to film, those kind of things, which, you know, again, on our side of it, kind of, you know, and our customers kind of, they're out presenting new use cases, new ways to use this material, these products. As you've heard me mention before, I view our business as a media business. I mean, we're like a, you know, $2 billion media company. Everything we produce ends up with a logo on it, something on it that's telling a story. And so as a media, we like to see that media continue to grow and advance and how it gets used in different ways it can go to market and extending the usability of it. So I would say technology is definitely making its way into our space in a kind of unique ways. And on the decoration side of the world, it's been pretty cool to see how how those advances have kind of come along around, in particular on DTG was a couple of years ago. Now direct to film is really what I've heard the latest from a kind of production standpoint, and really advances in that area too. So for us, it's all about the extensibility and the usability and effectiveness of the products we sell. And those advances in technology on the decoration side certainly play a key role there and continue to change the game, if you will, in products and how they get used as media, and to sell brands and sell stories and things like that.
I feel like you brought up the magic term, direct to film.
Yes,
Everybody, oh my gosh, you can't have a conversation at a trade show or an event without mentioning direct to film. But I mean, to its credit, it's pretty amazing, right? And it's kind of cool to see this really come into fruition. I think a lot of people remember when direct to garment DTG really became a big player in the industry. Jen, I know Stalls is sort of, a leader in this space. Can we talk about direct to film a little bit? I mean, I feel like we've talked about it so many times, but why is this such a revolutionary breakthrough? Why is it becoming such a big thing, even in its infancy?
I think initially, when we think about how far it's come in such a short amount of time, it really has to do with how diversified the product is. And what I mean by that is all the different things it works with, right? It really starts with the blank. That's what really we cater our products to. We need it to be solution-based, and it starts with the blank, right? Apparel is what's trending. That's what we see out there in retail, and our customers want to be able to recreate that or create something all their own that is specifically their brand, but they're taking inspiration from that. And it's those apparel pieces that they're seeing that they want to be able to create, but they don't want to go and put vinyl on it or something heavy like a heavy plastisol ink. So they're looking for a solution to be able to print across a broad smorgasbord of apparel products, right? Because they want to be unique, but they want to be able to effectively brand and print, and direct to film does provide that solution. If you're working with the right direct to film transfers or making your own, you can get that temp very low. So you can work with some of those tough tri blends or those sustainable polyesters or 50/50s, right? So this is a very diversified product. It can work across a lot of things. And the best part is that it's economical. It's not this super expensive product, and you can get involved with it with just a transfer, as little as one. And I think that's the wow factor, right? It's easy to use. It works across a variety of products, and it's not expensive for them to get started.
That's interesting. You say how apparel is what's trending, and then we sort of the technology builds up around it. I mean, David, you're on the apparel side, so you really see these trends kind of come through. And even you mentioned that decoration aspect, right? And how that shapes the technology.
Those three aspects of direct to film, I mean, really, it's interesting. Direct to film is it's like everything, right? Everything comes back around. I mean, this is essentially technology-wise, it is the same stuff that was in the mall when I was growing up. You go to the mall, get a keep on trucking t-shirt, pressed down in the mall. I mean, direct to film is essentially just a really, really kind of advanced transfer kind of technology. And so it's interesting, to see that come back around, and the level and the quality of it is really what's amazing. And the two key points I think Jenna made around the garment breadth that you can put. So you can put on anything really. I mean, it's much more usable across the wide array of apparel and garments than DTG is, which is pretty limited, frankly. And then the cost factor is a really game changing. The economics are incredible. And I think everyone's, the heat seal has been around forever, and it's kind of it's been around, and direct to film is kind of this advanced heat seal. Again, I'm sure true technology people are like, oh, you're way off, but I'm simplifying it down. But it really is sort of this taking this transfer, and the economics on it are just incredible. So those are the two really neat things are the economics are really compelling, but then just that breadth of product you can put on is pretty amazing. You can take it across anything. So we're hearing tons about it. I mean, you said it, Cassie. I mean, you can't have a conversation. Everyone's like super excited about direct to film, and so it's come on pretty strong. I do think, I've heard enough, stories about this, that there is an element of knowing what you're doing. Of course, like all this stuff. I mean, you can't just leap into these things. And so I think I've heard some stories of people getting into direct to film because they're kind of lured in by that breadth of apparel, breadth of product, and the costs are really, really just really tempting. But you really need to know what you're doing and kind of get the right equipment in there and the right kind of setup to do it well. But I do think it is kind of ushering in a new kind of era of kind of advance, if you will, in the decoration world. We're seeing that, or hearing that at least. And so our customers seem to be pretty excited about it. Both the decorators as well as the promotional product distributors who are able to take advantage of that. And again, expand the usability, expand the breadth of their products to their customers, and using that to take brands to a new level.
Jenna, Stalls puts out quite a bit of content, I think, about that talking point in particular, about how it's still a young technology. Don't jump in until you're fully ready. There's still a lot to learn. There are still challenges. There's lots of things. I mean, any words of advice you can offer on that front?
Yeah, I would say continue to educate yourself, for anybody that's considering the investment of equipment setup to produce it themselves. There is a lot that goes into it. Like he mentioned, you really need to educate yourself. That's it. I'm just going to really hone in on that. If you don't fully understand the type of space that you need, think about the footprint of all the equipment that is involved. What goes into the humidity of running the machine and making sure the ink and the powder adhesive is going to work accurately in that humidity. There's a really serious science that goes into it. And it took us a while to perfect it, and we're still trying to perfect it. Luckily, we have companies out there like Mamaki, like Brother, that are actively working on a machine that they stand behind, and they'll have technicians to help people with that setup. So I would say, if you think back to 2010, 2011, where DTG was getting introduced, it was very much in its early stages, but people were so excited about it. And who wouldn't be? Everybody gets excited about a new innovation in technology for decorated apparel. We all do. For iPhones, we do, right? We're all excited. We want to try the new best thing, and we get a lot of hype about it, but we want to make sure that it's actually being tested, and we can only figure that out through trial and error. So, let the experts figure it out. Let the people behind equipment that have been running this equipment figure it out. And then, trust us, trust your technicians, whoever it is at that point, to set you up for success. But jumping in too early can be detrimental. It can be a big investment, and it might not reap the return on that investment that you're hoping for. So we always recommend start with transfers while you're getting educated, at least work with the product, be able to offer that in your product lineup, but, educate, let people figure it out a little bit more, and then dive in whenever you are sure that investment's going to be worth it for your business.
Sure. Absolutely. Good words of wisdom. Thank you for sharing those. Kind of want to shift gears a little bit here and define technology in a little bit different of a light. And this, we've kind of touched on this, David, in particular, talking about the fabric side of things. I read these stories that are really interesting, Nike, Adidas, all of these sportswear companies coming out with what they're calling smart apparel, right? And so you see these sort of niche-y kind of things, but what that makes me think is there is technology related to fabric, right? How do we create a better t-shirt that can be better decorated? How do we create stuff? I mean, even wholesale companies within our realm, all the big guys come out with lots of different things. Hanes released a t-shirt that's already pre-treated and is ready to go for direct to garment. So can you talk to me a little bit about that? Do you consider that technology new and innovative?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it definitely, and again, I think, from a, kind of DTG I think brought this a little bit to the forefront, just because there are some better and worse pieces of apparel and fabrics. to do direct to garment printing on. It works on 100% cotton. You can get all the way down to maybe 50%, 50-50. Much below that, I think you're kind of risking things. But like, ring spun cotton, comb, ring spun, it really works really well. Direct to garment does. So, I mean, it covers a big breadth. But I do think more and more manufacturers are looking at saying, how do we make sure our products can be best represented in that when they're decorated? How do they hold the decoration and sustain that decoration? Hanes is a good example. We're actually looking forward to getting that product in. I think we have a small window of exclusivity with Hanes on that, which we're looking forward to. But again, it's kind of unique in the sense that we went out and talked to several customers about that product as we were considering it and talking to Hanes, and got great feedback from the guys who were using product that required a pre-treatment. But if you're using a cornette and things like that, if there's no pre-treatment, the machine does that, like when the shirt goes in. So again, it's just the use cases are like, there's a million different use cases. There's not one kind of a one size fits all situation. I do think that more and more the manufacturers are continuing to, like I said, to work on advancing their manufacturing, advancing their fabric use to make sure that the decorators in general are able to kind of have a better experience and do a better job with that. I do want to talk about, you mentioned smartwear.
Yeah.
So we have a product coming out. It's brand new. We're just not getting the inventory in our Threadfast brand of product. It's the 180 NFC. It's I should have worn it I'm so bummed I don't have it on today. But it's a t-shirt that actually has an NFC chip in the sleeve. And what you can do is you can program that chip, and it will go to a URL of your choosing and kind of a landing page. And that landing page can have any amount of content on it you want. And you can change that landing page out as much as you want to. So imagine if you're Netflix, for example, and you wanted to go print 1 million t-shirts that says coming soon from Netflix. You can put on that NFC chip right there, you put your phone on it just like this, just touch your phone to it. And if you open your phone, you touch your phone to it, there's no camera, there's no nothing. A URL pops up, you hit the URL, goes direct to the landing page, and you're looking at trailers for the next week's new releases from Netflix. Mm-hmm. So the use cases are infinite in how to use it. So again, it's not so much decoration technology, but as a decorator, and this is something we're working through right now, we're literally getting the inventory shipped in as we speak. And we're working on the materials to take to market to talk to decorators, because you have to activate the shirts. So all those chips have to be activated. Okay. And it's super easy. I got 10 myself for a little project I'm working on here in Austin. And I did it myself. I activated it, went to my URL to show this trailer. And it's super simple to do. But if you're printing 5,000 or hopefully 1 million of these shirts, mass activation is something we're working on, trying to figure out how to do. So there's like all technology, there's a learning curve to it, and in a way to really, how do you scale it? How do you learn how to really do what you want to do? We're super excited about the product, and it's just a cool thing to see, kind of that technology intersect with the t-shirt. And we've done, AR on t-shirts before, printed, AR where your phone would pick this up and you could see a video or something like that. But this feels a lot more like a really cool and really practical use case that you can imagine, whether you're Netflix or your restaurant or your sports team. You can find a lot of uses to kind of check back and check in, provide sneak peek, inside, information, things like that, if you have this particular shirt. So we're super excited about it, but I love seeing your ideas around technology in this conversation, because that's a great example of tech and apparel intersecting with a great use case.
It's brilliant, especially when you think about the uses in the promo industry as well. Like you were just saying, you just listed off handfuls of promo uses. I mean,
I see no need for badges anymore.
Exactly. No, it's
great. I'm also here in Austin, Dave, and South by Southwest is happening.
I know.
So they have that. They're walking around with badges. I'm imagining you just be able to get into your next event by
boom, right there.
Right?
Absolutely.
Like that's amazing. No, There's so much opportunity there.
Yeah, we've been participating in South by Southwest and going to a few screenings and premieres.
Yeah.
And the shirt was actually a TV show that's being developed here. And it goes right to the trailer of the TV series. So
That's great.
it's really cool. Yeah, no, it's super cool.
Who said technology in the apparel industry was stale? Come on now, innovating beyond. I mean, South by
We're
Southwest.
the epicenter of this. Yeah.
Right. That is amazing.
It's literally mobile technology because you're moving around in it. You're walking around in your shirt. So it's literally mobile technology.
You're right. The possibilities, usage feel infinite. That is just mind-blowing.
and that's just, I mean, we were at an event a couple of weeks ago in Dallas with one of our big customers, and they had one of their annual event in Dallas, and we had a bunch of meetings, and the shirt was there. We're kind of premiering it there almost. And I mean, just the lights that were going off, and people, like, you just see them like, oh my gosh, bam, 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 bam. So it's going to be really cool as we start to roll this out here in the next couple of weeks. It's coming out like literally. Inventory is being shipped as we speak, and we're going to, in the next couple of weeks, we'll have it. It's on alphabroker.com now. It's the 180 NFC. If you want to go check it out, the actual shirt, and check out the technology around it. We're super excited. Our customers were just like over the moon with a million different use cases. So it's going to be cool to see how people use it. I like yours, Jenna. It's a good idea.
I was going to say, I want it. I'm not even an actual decorator, and I'm like thinking of all the use cases.
We'll get you both some samples of it so you guys can check it out.
That's cool though. Well, speaking of sort of that intersection of technology into the apparel world and things like that, I would love to sort of move this conversation into the world of AI. I mean, not the same as scanning a chip on a t-shirt, but you think of like all these things that people are doing with AI right now. Several decorators are using it to create designs. I mean, I think that, even as a content creator myself, I've even tried out Chat GPT, I think it is, because it's a curious thing, and it's really interesting to me. So I'll throw this out to you, Jenna. Why do you think AI matters in the decorated apparel industry, and how does it touch us?
Well, this industry is all about creativity, and they both of these are very closely aligned with all the NFTs that are being created. And so it gives the ability to stay creative and also manage it in a different light, and also manage it well. I do see these kind of becoming a hybrid thing where we have our digital artists that love to get creative, and they're creating custom skins, right, for their player in whatever metaverse situation is going on. I cannot give you the correct terminology because I am a newbie to it. I'm still trying to understand all of it because there is so much that goes into it. But our artists that are creating graphic tees and branding for their customers, I just see this being such a hybrid solution where maybe they're doing that digitally, but then a huge demand for those folks that are doing like print on demand, custom graphic tees with the popular NFTs where they're purchasing them. They own the rights to those NFTs. I always think about that monkey. And anytime anybody says NFT, that monkey pops up in my head, right? And I just see people purchasing it for usage and being able to like go print it and create graphic tees. And so I'm seeing that crossover already, and it's very much in its early stages. So I'm excited to see really what comes of it. My brain can't grasp it, but I'm excited for it because I know it's just going to continue to grow, and something big and unique is going to happen. It's really going to, again, propel this industry in a whole different direction and just keep it ever growing. And that's what we want. Change can be scary, but it also can be like the best thing to help pivot and put us in a totally different direction that's just continuing to help us grow.
I see a lot of, I guess I couldn't tell you the correct terminology either because I am also a newbie to this world. But I see a lot of digital apparel releases. So you see a lot of like in the retail and fashion world, like Ralph Lauren releases something for Fortnite, like where people are dressing their avatars, and there's all these digital apparel collections. which,
And they're paying a lot of money for them.
yeah,
It's
just
not chump
crazy
change. It's not that 50-cent icon we used to buy for our flip phones back in the day. This is totally different.
I think of like my little Bitmoji that I created when Snapchat first became a thing. And I'm like, I didn't even pay for that. And I got to dress it and style it, but these are so much more intricate. David, how do you see those sorts of digital apparel releases and collection drops and all these things affecting the our industry?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, that stuff, I mean, again, I think our industry is, we're sort of, we're sort of, again, it's good. We're not necessarily leading edge in this kind of thing, whether it's fashion or anything else, just because of the use case of a lot of our products and our apparel. So I do think it'll make its way into our industry and those things tend to be kind of like leading or bleeding edge. In this case, bleeding edge, kind of like futuristic or sort of like the next wave of like style and things like that. They're going to come down the line. So those things inevitably make their way into our space through our manufacturer partners and our brand, the retail brands that we carry. I mean, and I think that's one of those things that, and a theme in our space is like retail brands are even more today than ever popular and really the biggest driver or biggest, I guess, demand, I should say, in our space. People want retail brands. And I think this could give retail brands a way to get into our space, to dip into our space, understand the space a little bit, maybe find some areas to get in, because I think our space is very intriguing to retailers, because obviously brick and mortar and things like that they've all kind of flattened out from a retail standpoint. So in a lot of ways, our space is kind of greenfield for these guys, and it's just new opportunity. Even though it's a lot of the same consumers, it's a different use case. You're putting a logo on something, you're branding it in a different way. So it's a way to extend their brands. I think they all love it. They all like, oh, this is cool, but it kind of freaks them all out from an inventory standpoint. They actually operationalize it. We have so many different requirements in a normal 8 to 10 month retail churn model. We just don't do that. We need things to last longer in our space. And so this could give way to do that. It could allow for that, then to try things and dip into the industry. But I think from a printing standpoint, from a digital printing standpoint, there's a couple of key areas that we've seen, and I do believe the use cases are. One is around design, and it's around finding these, whether it's design that's actually created through AI, coming up with new designs via AI. So kind of streamline that process of creating many, many, many different designs. Also, if you're making your own design, going in and using AI to reduce repetition and reduce the kind of things you have to do over and over and over again. It can kind of learn. I mean, Adobe is really on the front edge of all this from a design standpoint. Their tools have AI kind of built in. So if you're a designer and you're building things consistently and over, they'll begin to pick up what you're doing and kind of begin to meet you at those tasks and get those tasks done. So time is a massive saver there. And I would also say that when you get into digital printing as well, over time, the more you can use AI to actually help you calculate what you're going to print and get your settings, get your calibrations put together. And you think about just material usage. I mean, in the printing business period, utilization, material costs, spoilage, all those things are massive. So AI is a way to continually to curve that down, cut that down, and reduce your spoilage, reduce all the things, the wasted space, things like that. So I think there's a ton of usage to completely streamline and further streamline our space, because the one thing we all see, I believe, is that basically units per order are kind of going down. People more and more want to get more and more personalized, more and more unique. That long tail of what we do. Well, AI is a real enabler to that, because the enemy of that whole idea is cost. So as you can drive costs down and time down, you can get further and further down that curve of doing things more personal and more small batch. And that's what everyone loves about direct to film and direct to garment. It's like, oh my gosh, we can now do under 24 pieces, under 10 pieces. We can do low minimum, no minimum type things. So I think, AI kind of intersects that as well in improving the utilization of materials and time. And that just helps to further, kind of break down the barriers to low and no minimum kind of orders and doing them profitably. That's, everyone wants to do them. You can't make money doing it. So how do you do those orders and make money? That's the hard part. And that's really where technology comes into play.
I'm sensing this circular sense of influence where we're starting, okay, the fabric affects the technology affects the fabric, and it keeps the wheels churning. Sort of each one has a finger in how a whole wagon continues to roll forward, right? So it's a really interesting concept to think of it in that light. How does the fabric affect the technology, and then the technology affect the fabric? Kind of just an interesting way to think of it. So.
Yeah, very much so. I think it's a really good way to put it.
All comes full circle.
Right, exactly.
As long as we're
like
doing it efficiently, full circle.
There you go. Just like our transfer conversation.
Exactly.
Full circle.
We're back. I love it, guys. I feel like we could talk about this probably for several podcast episodes. For now, we're going to go ahead and wrap today's conversation. But before we leave, let's just really quick, I want to give you guys each a quick mention here. Jenna, where can people really find, stalls and, their plethora of educational videos? Where should we send everybody?
Yeah, if we're looking for videos, definitely the Stalls TV YouTube channel. I will say if it's product specific knowledge that listeners are looking for, going to the product page on our website, we have videos specific to those products. So if you need to learn cut specs of a heat transfer vinyl, or if you can use dual heat on a screen print transfer, all that information will be listed out on those product pages. But for inspiration and business tips and tricks, definitely the YouTube channel. And of course, any of our short form video through social, such as Instagram, TikTok. It's hard to not be able to find us. If you go to a platform and type Stalls, we will pop up.
Perfect. I love the ease of use there. Another great source of education, Alpha Broder's Decorators Hub, which is fairly new on the market, but lots of good content there already. I was just there checking it out. David, how can our audience find Decorators Hub?
Yeah, come to alphabroder.com, and you guys, I believe you should be able to search for it, Decorators Hub. You can also go into our resource center, and on the right-hand side, it's Decorators Hub. Just resource center is the top nav. And just on the right-hand side there, Decorators Hub, click on that. Tons of great information there. And as I mentioned before, we're now kind of going both ways. We're presenting a bunch of information. We also have the ability for decorators and partners like Jenna and Stalls to upload information there as well. And we look for this to be a resource for decorators. And I do believe we'll even see more promotional product distributors come make their way in there as well, as they're looking for ideas and different ways to pitch their product. Where we've already gotten some great feedback from several of our customers that they found their way in there and saw some cool ideas like that. This is really helpful for how I go present our product to our customers. So yeah, we're super excited about it.
I love that, because how else are we going to learn about all these new technologies and stay on top of it if we don't have these resources?
That's right. We want to be a presentation layer for those great resources, those great videos and great how-tos that these guys are putting together. So we look forward to it.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. And then, of course, all of you listeners out there, apparelist.com is a great place to head as well. We connect you with all of the great companies in the decorated apparel community, like Stalls, like Alpha Broder, like everybody else out there furthering the community, having these conversations, providing educational content. So make sure you head on over to our website, give it a look, and give these guys a follow. But until then, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure.
This has been great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, guys.